One of those stones that is in the heart of many people is unforgiveness. It is perhaps one of the biggest issues that any of us has to face. And it's no wonder that the enemy opposes the desire to forgive, because it's through forgiving others that we enter into a new dimension of God's life, which results in forgiveness for our own sin and then a transformation of who we are as we walk in the purposes of God. And you know, as we've taught on forgiveness in so many parts of the world, we found that more healing takes place subsequent to people coming to terms with the forgiveness issue than any other thing we pray about. Jesus was talking about forgiveness and saying, Lord, 7 times, is that enough? If my brother sins against me 7 times, and I can almost see the smile on Jesus' face when he says, Simon, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. Now, for those of you who are good at arithmetic, you're thinking 490 times I need to forgive, and the 491st time, right, I can give it them. Actually, that's not what it means. The phrase 70 times 7 is a Jewish phrase which means millions. It means so much, so many, you don't even count. But you know, forgiveness is a process. And sometimes we need to forgive many times over. As Jesus said to Simon Peter, it's not just a case of my brother keeps on doing things, but sometimes the layers of pain are so deep that we need to keep on forgiving. And it's only when we forgive him many times that we actually get to the end, and suddenly you begin to realize there's no longer any pain in the bucket. So you don't need to empty the bucket anymore. And you've forgiven. And it's gone. But when you forgive them, you're taking yourself off their hook. You're releasing yourself from the hook that they have into your life. And at that point, you begin to experience healing. But I want to tell you something. None of us deserve to be forgiven. Forgiveness is not a matter of desert. It's a matter of grace and mercy. None of us deserved to have Jesus die for us. None of us deserved that unmerited grace. But that's what forgiveness is, unmerited grace. There's another aspect of forgiveness. Not only do we need to forgive others who have hurt us, but we need to forgive ourselves. Because sometimes we have done things and we've regretted it. We've all perhaps at some time or other we said, I'll never forgive myself for this. Something terrible has happened. Some accident, maybe even a death as a result. I remember one lady I prayed with, and she'd left her daughter in a house, and the house had caught fire, and her daughter was burnt in the fire and never recovered. 14 years later, she was still in the trauma and the pain, and it was caused by the fact that she had never forgiven herself. And that's a big ask. But I had to say to her that Jesus died that you might be forgiven. And if you're saying you can't forgive yourself, you're saying that the cross was of no avail for you. And Jesus died that you might be forgiven. So why don't you choose to forgive yourself if God has chosen to forgive you? Suddenly she saw it. God knows about what I did, and if he is forgiving me, then I can forgive myself. And when she forgave herself, it was as if a burden was lifted from her shoulder, and the hurt and the pain and the power of the enemy upon her life of those 14 years, it just evaporated before her. And she entered into healing and restoration. So if you're saying, there are things in my life that I regret and I'm not going to forgive myself, you know what you're doing? You're cutting yourself off from the love of God. You're cutting yourself off from the power of the cross to forgive you and to heal you.